Happy weekend, everybody. This is Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here in Charlotte, North Carolina with your Ski Southeast weather update. Let's get to the good news first. We've got more cold air on the way, even though we got a warm-up this weekend. We had a great week of skiing, the best snowmaking conditions we've seen so far this season, and a lot of resorts were able to lay down a lot of snow. We'll start with the snowfall that is currently on the ground, with snow depth we call it here across the country. The West still having an amazing year thanks to El Nino. In the East, it's been a little more sparse, but the good news here in the last week or so, we're starting to lay down snow in the Midwest, the Great Lakes, the Northeast, and Southern Canada. That's key because that's going to allow for the Arctic outbreaks to move down over refrigerated ground, I like to call it. When there's snow on the ground, that air stays colder and it gets further south without modifying. Tonight, 3 storms I've been keeping an eye on. One off the coast, not a big deal. This one's moving away. Kind of cool that it could be a subtropical storm. This storm is going to bring us some rain and maybe a little bit of ice this weekend. This is the storm I'm watching that's just coming out of California. This is the one that really dumped heavy rain and snow there in the last 24 hours. So we got a little bit of ice maybe on Friday morning across areas in the mountains, but this is mainly going to be rain. And then as we go into the weekend, that big low starts to move our way. Now, this doesn't look good at first. I know we've got some rain. This is warm temperatures. We'll melt a little bit of that base, but look on the backside of this thing. There's a lot of cold air on the backside of this low. So as the low cranks up and rotates through the southeast, we're going to see a pretty good northwest flow develop, and you can see the rain changing over to snow Sunday night into Monday. This could be the first legitimate potential, maybe 2 to 4 inches for some areas, maybe 4 to 6 in snowshoe, or if not more. I wouldn't be shocked if we see winter weather advisories for parts of that area. As far as below freezing temperatures for snowmaking, not going to be really good for Friday, not going to be good for Saturday, likely not going to be good for early Saturday. But by Sunday night, we are going to see that cold air wrapping in on the backside. You can see as we go into Sunday morning, that cold air starts to filter back in, and we're going to see that changeover to snow. This cold air is really moving down in waves. We're going to see one wave arrive early in the week, then it's going to reload, and another wave is going to come down on Wednesday into Thursday. That little clipper system could bring more northwest flow, but what's really promising is next weekend. Now, this is 10 days out, I know, but there's a big mother load of cold air, but there's also the potential of a storm track that could have a low from the Gulf Coast to the East Coast. The combination of this cold and that Gulf Coast to East Coast storm track is exactly what you want to see for potential snow. So we'll look at the European model snowfall. It's picking up on the snow that's going to fall on the backside coming up on Sunday and then again in the middle of the week, the little clipper system with the reinforcing shot of cold air. But it's just starting to hint at this on next Sunday, and I really think it's going to be next Sunday that we'll have to watch for the potential for a big storm. This is what we call the Arctic oscillation, and I'm showing this to you because it is way, way, way negative. And when it's negative like this, you are going to see a lot of cold air moving into the eastern half of the country. The NAO is also going very negative, which means the storm track is going to start setting up on the East Coast. So those two teleconnections we look at really pointing to a cold and stormy pattern for the middle to end of January. So really, as we mentioned earlier in the month, the pattern has finally flipped. We're going to get more cold air. The only question now is that storm. Are we going to get a legit snowstorm? And it looks like next weekend. I'm really, looking at that late next week into next weekend time frame for our first potential East Coast storm, Southeast storm of some kind that could bring significant snow. So enjoy the brief warm-up. It's not going to last long. That cold air is coming back. Should be great skiing this weekend, even with the warm-up, because the base laid down in the last 7 days has been phenomenal by the resorts. And next week, a whole week of snowmaking, 2 shots of natural snow, and maybe a bigger storm late next week. By far the best weather-looking forecast we've had so far this season. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll update things throughout the weekend if anything changes, but coming up on Sunday night, I'll post another update with more on that potential weekend storm. Hope you have a great weekend, and as always, think snow.